Called Fact or Fiction. Hey, Damien Woody, if I said J.J. McCarthy is a legitimate Rookie of the Year candidate for the Vikings, is that fact or fiction?
I'm going to go fiction. The only reason I say that is because I don't know when he's going to start, Greeny. All right, that's the biggest thing. If we were saying that he had a Caleb Williams type situation and we knew that he was going to be a starter from day one, then I would absolutely answer this question with fact. But I think right now, you got to get the leg up to Caleb Williams in that situation in Chicago.
Harry, what do you think? You like McCarthy as a legit Rookie of the Year candidate?
Yeah, but I think Woody brings up a good point. Like, when is he going to start? But if he starts enough games, in my opinion, I think he has a amazing chance when you look at what they have surrounded around him with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hockenson, and I love the addition of Aaron Jones at the running back position. So you have the skill position players. If you're J.J. McCarthy, all you got to do is deliver the football.
And a good offensive line and a good offensive coaching staff. I'm on that side. Graziano, if I said the Bears will be a playoff team this year with Caleb Williams as their quarterback, is that fact or fiction?
I'm going to say fact, because he also has the skill position players, adding Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze to that wide receiver core that already had DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, the tight end. They brought in DeAndre Swift, loaded up on offense at the skill positions. And remember, over the last 6 weeks of last season, this was one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in the entire league, the Chicago Bears. So they are poised for big things right away with Caleb Williams as their rookie starter.
What do you think, D-Wood?
Yeah, listen, I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, right here in this situation. I love what the direction the Bears are heading in. But it's the NFC North is going to be a monster this year.
Yes.
Like, the Detroit Lions aren't going anywhere. The Green Bay Packers have arrived. Hell, Minnesota Vikings are right there. So this is a very tough division.
Could we see all 4 teams from the NFC North in playoff contention at the end? We'll see. Meanwhile, Harry, let's go to your hometown, your old team. If I said the Falcons made a mistake drafting Michael Penix 8 overall, is that fact or fiction?
I'm going to go fiction. You talk about a football team the last 2 years who had an opportunity to win their division, but they did not because the quarterback position handcuffed this football team. You look at them right now, I understand they have Kirk Cousins, but what Arthur Blank, what Terry Fontenot, and also the head coach now is saying is that they're not going to allow the quarterback positions to stop them from being able to get to where they need to be moving forward in the future. So I like this pick by the Atlanta Falcons, and Raheem Morris made a good choice.
Here's Dan, go ahead. You're going to say it better than I'm going to say it. It's not about whether or not Michael Penix winds up being a really good player for them. Right. I guess if he winds up being an historically great player for them, we will easily forget where he was drafted in those circumstances. But we're living in the moment.
But even if that happens, they still will have not maximized the value of Kirk Cousins' contract. They cannot possibly, based on what they gave Kirk Cousins and where they drafted Michael Penix, get maximum value out of both of those contracts. And when you talk about the draft, that is the most important thing. Finding guys that can perform at a high level for you before you have to pay them significant money. By drafting a quarterback at 8, 6 weeks after you signed one for $100 million in guaranteed money over the next 2 years, you are costing yourself the value that you need to get from a top 10 draft pick. And look, honestly, I think it got their relationship with Kirk Cousins off on the wrong foot. Here's a guy that moves his family from Minnesota, where they were happy, expecting to be there a while, and now he's thinking maybe it's only a year or two. I think there's a number of reasons why this was the wrong choice for the Atlanta Falcons.
I mean, did they just make Kirk Cousins a bridge quarterback with what they did the other day, D-Wood?
I think listen, I like the move. Here's why I like the move. I like it because the Atlanta Falcons, when you bring in Kirk Cousins, the Atlanta Falcons aren't expected to be picking him this start anytime in the near future. They are trying to get their quarterback and try to resolve the situation for the long term. There's not a pass rusher in this draft that's going to elevate the Atlanta Falcons to Super Bowl contender. Not one player on the defense side was going to elevate that team to that type of to the level of the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions, or anything like that.
They asked Chris Mad Dog Russo about that yesterday on First Take, and he responded as only he can.
Kirk Cousins, you're getting paid $50 million a year guaranteed. You've won one playoff game in your life, and you are not a long-time Falcon. You're not Tommy Nobis. Who cares what Kirk Cousins thinks? You got $90 million guaranteed, and you've won one playoff game in your life. You know what you're doing for Kirk Cousins? You get your butt to Atlanta as far as training camp is concerned. You play great football, and you make sure Penix can't play because you're playing so damn well.
There's so many things about that I love. If we could unpack, I can't decide if my favorite part is the reference to Tommy Nobis.
Clearly.
Of all the Falcons in their history, and he was a terrific linebacker in his day, but I mean, you know, they've had some other players you've heard of, like Matt Ryan and Michael Vick, but okay, put that aside for a moment.
Julio Jones.
The fact that he almost died at the end. We can confirm, by the way, he's okay. We've seen him since then. That said, Harry, should they be concerned that Kirk Cousins is put off by the way this was handled?
No, I don't think so. Kirk Cousins is the ultimate professional, right?
Yeah.
And him and Michael Penix Jr., they talked after Penix was drafted. And I think, you know, that's the approach that Kirk is going to have. And I kind of agree a little bit with Mad Dog. If Kirk goes in there and plays at an all-time high and puts this team in a position to where they want to be, hey, that's what you want to do. You keep that guy on the bench. I just think moving forward, as far as other teammates, it's not going to bother them as much either. Everyone is there to do a job. Kirk Cousins is getting $100 million guaranteed within the first 3 years of that contract. I think that's enough to be excited about.
Yeah. Mad Dog's yelling at him to do something he's probably going to do anyway, right? Like all that stuff is Kirk will do all that and handle it the right way. But you still have created a situation where there is potential trouble, right? When Kirk Cousins struggles or if they start losing games, people are going to want to see the kid play, and that could include the locker room if he's showing well in practice. So you've created a difficult situation for your new coaching staff. I just think it causes more problems than it's.
I got 10 seconds. Go ahead, Harry.
Well, what if you get into a situation, let's just say Kirk Cousins gets hurt.
Right.
Are you going to go to Taylor Heineke to salvage your season? Hell no. So you're
then
going to
why
go
is
to
he on
Michael
the team?
Penix Jr., the guy you just drafted 8 overall.
Yeah.
I get that.
We'll
And backup quarterback
Bryce,
has become
this team the last 2 years were handcuffed by the quarterback position. The Falcons moving forward cannot go through that situation again.
DeSean Jackson, and here's why I think the whole league is so excited about this pick. The Kansas City receiver room had issues. They had a league worst 25 drops by wide receivers last year, 7 more than any other team. It was the most by any team's wide receiving core since the 2012 Jaguars. I should point out, the 2012 Jaguars went 2-14.
Oof.
The Chiefs managed to win the Super Bowl despite having this as an abject weakness. So, Harry, the reality is Xavier Worthy, he's the fastest 40 time in the history of the Combine, and you're going to show us why Andy Reid might be able to use him exactly as he once used DeSean Jackson.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of DeSean Jackson. I got a little tape I put together. The first play that you're actually going to see, he is going to catch a bubble screen, right? And like I mentioned, if you do not tackle him with the first guy, he's going to the races because he has that 4.21 speed. So why does it look so familiar? Here goes DeSean Jackson on a stop route. The cornerback tries to go for the pick and knock it down. Doesn't happen. But if you don't tackle DeSean Jackson instantly, he is going to the house and off to the races as well. Andy Reid just happened to draft both of these guys. And then you see right here on the punt return, he's a guy that can be a specialist as well. You get the football into his hands because he's explosive, he's dynamic. And then, I'm sorry, Giants fans, I had to do it to you, but here's DeSean Jackson with the game winner. Punt return looks kind of similar to me to Xavier Worthy. I understand DeSean Jackson has done it for a very, very long time at the NFL level, but Xavier Worthy and both DeSean Jackson, we're not just talking about fast guys. We're talking about guys that can run precise routes. We're talking about guys that can take the top off the defense and has that explosiveness. Man, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and also to mention, they got Hollywood Brown too.
Yeah.
So they're going to be taking the top off the defense this year, something we didn't see so much of last year.
Well, that feels to me like an incredibly important storyline coming out of this draft. For what it's worth, DeSean Jackson in his 6 seasons in Philadelphia when Andy Reid was there caught 32 touchdowns, plus all the returns and everything else. But it just feels to me, I'm not in any way comparing, it's not reasonable to compare Xavier Worthy right now to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's one of the great receivers we've ever seen. But his presence on the field, it feels to me, D. Wood, and as an offensive player, you explain this better than I could ever even imagine it. It feels to me like his presence on the field should change so much of the way teams try to attack them defensively.
Yeah, he'll tilt the field because he has something you can't teach. Can't teach speed. Okay, speed is the one thing in any game, especially in a game of football, that people are scared of. So when you have that type of speed on there, I can tell you, like on Wednesdays when we have our meetings talking about players, he's going to be the one guy that defensive coordinator is going to talk about, like, hey, look, this guy 4.21, like this guy has legit world-class speed. And so you have to prepare for that, and that opens things up for other players within that offense as well.
What's been the reaction, Dan, to them getting that player? It feels like such a perfect marriage.
Right, and the speed, obviously, and what Andy Reid can do with it. Look, when you think about the potential of the Andy Reid Chiefs offense, you think about it with Tyreek Hill. You do. Now, can either of these guys, Hollywood Brown or Xavier Worthy, beat Tyreek Hill? I mean, probably not. But can you do something with them that at least approximates what you were able to do when you had Tyreek Hill? I think that's the thing. They haven't been able to replicate it in any reliable way since he left, even though they've managed to win 2 Super Bowls. The offense has not, we agree, right, with the Chiefs, has not functioned at that ludicrously high level that we were used to back then. So maybe one or both of these guys can unlock it.
One last thing. Xavier Worthy, he's not a track guy. He's a football player that has track speed. I think that's an important point to make.
He is ridiculously fast. Well,